Okay, we're live. Pugworld 316. Whew. Just sorting some technical problems out really quickly, and we did it. We managed to do it. So, just start off, and I'll share a little screen with you. I'll be back in one moment.
Join me as we take a fan's eye view and a genreless journey into horror. Meet the creators and ask them the questions that you've always wanted to ask.
And we are back. I will get that introduction right at some point. I'm sure of it. I'm working on it. So, it is absolutely wonderful to be here because I'm excited about this one. This is an interview with Bob Heckman, a long and storied history in movies in Hollywood as an actor, as a director, cinematographer, producer, distributor, writer. He's done it all. I'm sure. Sound design. I'd forgotten sound design. So I'm going to add Bob to our meeting so we can get going and talk about Victim No More and so much more. Hopefully go through his whole story career and really have a good chat about it. Can't wait. So I'm going to add Bob to the meeting now, and we can have a good to the meeting. To the studio. Here we go. Bob.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here.
How's the technical difficulties going?
we got there, didn't we? I think that was like we were literally seconds before the time we said we were going to be on. So for punctual people, we're great.
It's I call it my special mutant power that around technology it just won't work. I knew something would go wrong. I didn't know what, and of course it was volume control or whatever it was. But now I have to do it from my cell phone. Thankfully, my cell phone is half charged. So
we've done really well actually. We can hear each other, we can see each other, and we can talk, and that's the main thing. I can hear all about you. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. Really exciting. Do you know I was
really
get my mask. However, glasses and masks do not go well together, I find. No. Jason would have caused a lot less problems if he had to wear glasses, I think.
Well, he does have some eyesight issues, you know.
True.
In maybe one or two of his eyes. Thank you for that introduction, because I was like, Hollywood. I'm not a Hollywood guy. I'm not. I mean,
not compared to me.
No, I mean, I've been in a lot of like friends' indie films and you know, help out as a friend. You know, it's more like a hobby, not like an industry kind of career of thing.
It comes across the things you do certainly are like a labor of love.
All passion projects, yes.
Yeah, and some of the really exciting things that you've done over the years, I can't wait to dig into them. By the way, got a few people with us already. Al's here, the fantastic Al Lacard, Funky Freddy and Co's here, both saying hi.
Freddy.
I know we are honoured.
All right, Funky Freddy's here to bring the funk. All right.
So I thought what we could do is, if it's all right with you, just a little teaser, just the first minute or so of Victim No More, if we could just share that with everybody, and then trace your career right up to Victim No More and spend quite a bit of time talking just about that, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, what, man? And the first minute of Victim No More is quite a tease.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. And I'll talk about the music later because the music really interests me. Right.
Okay.
Okay. So make sure I go on the right one. Here we go. We are watch as I grapple with technology.
Watch how I curse it. It's going to be upside down and backwards now.
There we go.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
So you don't get sued.
Well, yeah, that's important. I love these titles, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, a little homage to the original Friday 13th.
Was how I felt 2 years of hell.
Now, I don't want to give too much away, you see, so I had to be very careful there because I don't want to give any spoilers for people who haven't seen it. There is a link to the film in the description so people can go and watch it. I really hope they do, and if they haven't already, it's fantastic. I love the opening. We'll talk a little bit about the opening. I said I was going to go way back and discuss other things as well, but I can't show the opening and then not discuss it.
Okay.
I love the graphics. I think that's a really good little tease that where we are, and then it opens up and we're in New York. What's the thinking behind that opening?
Well, first off, I just want to say, I mean, it was glitchy on my end watching it. It's not glitchy on YouTube or
no.
You know. So just to let you guys know. I wanted to start the movie off where, like, the first shot, which is one of my favorite shots, where it shows like the woods and it makes you think that you're in the Camp Crystal Lake woodsy area. And then as we pan up, we realize that we're in New York City, and that's just kind of like a tease. And then it goes into like kind of like I mean, I'm a big fan of 80s movies. I'm sure you are too. And I just wanted to give like a nice little 80s feel. It almost starts off like it could be like a romantic comedy or something.
You know
like
what?
New York
the
City.
Same thing. The font reminded me of Three Men and a Baby.
Yeah, well, the font is it's actually, I took that from Friday 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. That's the same font.
It's the same font. I recognize that as well.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's
my
called the
brain fires
Broadway. Yeah, it's called the Broadway font.
Yes.
So I wanted to kind of right away give a nod to all the Jason Takes Manhattan fans.
Yeah.
It's one of my least favorite ones, but you know what? When it comes to Friday 13th fans, you're always going to have different opinions on your favorite ones and your least favorite ones, that you dislike completely. But like, what I love about Friday the 13th fans is that everyone's rankings are completely different.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's one of the only like horror franchises that is like that. Like, it's not always necessarily like, oh, the first one is the best and that's it. You know, people love, you know, 4 and 6 and 7 and other ones.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I had to
Totally
throw
agree.
that bone to the Jason Takes Manhattan fans, because I had this idea of starting the movie in New York City, and I just thought that would be just a great, like, you know, interesting way to start the movie. And yes, that was me doing my little Hitchcock appearance, walking out of the building.
Ah, nice, nice. Well, you've got to do it. Why not? You know, like I say, it's people like things like that. I like little Easter egg things like that as well. But
It's
you know,
fun.
you make a really good point too about, you know, everybody having their own rankings and ideas. And you know, I was talking to somebody, interviewing them recently, and they were willing to like fight anybody for Jason Goes to Hell as being the absolute best one, which for me is not one of my favorites. I
No.
think 4 is probably my favorite. I have a real soft spot for Jason X. So what, you know, people will sort of have a go at me. So it's very much just pick and choose and have that discussion and kind of enjoy the discussion, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Continue.
No. I was just going to say, it kind of leads on to me asking a little bit about your kind of history with the franchise, because I know that you have a relationship with one of my favorite documentaries, the Crystal Lake Memories documentary.
Yes.
So obviously you were a big fan before that, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, growing up, I immediately, you know, hooked onto the Friday the 13th franchise as like 7 or 8 years old. I immediately was intrigued by this whole series. Like, I came in and I think part 4 had just come out. I had seen part 2 and 3, and then I went back and saw part 1 on TV or at like friends' houses, cousins' houses, and I was like so into this. I was already into like Halloween, the movies, and the holiday, and, and was getting really into horror at a young age. So the Friday 13th series have always been my favorite one. And even like, you know, as the series went on, I still found like fun and entertaining things in the sequels that I wasn't crazy about. Like, there's like a nostalgic factor to like all of them, I think. I mean, they've been around for 4 decades now, so
Yeah.
I always have great memories attached to the whole series. And I've made so many friends over the years. And you know, that being the love of Jason and Friday the 13th franchise being like the first you know, conversations we would have, like like an immediate friendship would begin out of that. So yeah,
it's a great jumping off point, isn't it, to have those conversations with people, like you say, even if it's just which one's your favorite one.
Yeah.
You know, it gets the conversation going, especially for those, you know, for those people who maybe don't want to talk sport all the time. It's a bit of you belong to like a little tribe, you know, of horror fans, and it's a nice feeling of belonging. Oh, Mayan's
yeah.
joined us. Hi, Mayan. She's
Say hi to everybody.
hi.
I can't see anybody.
Oh, there you go. Anytime anyone pops up, I'll there we go. Hi, Matt, Bob, Alan, Funko.
Hey.
Yeah, that's nice. So tell me a little bit about Crystal Lake Memories, because your name is on the credits. Were you helping fund it? Did you have some footage related to it?
Nothing like that at all. I was just a fan, and I was excited that, you know, it's finally coming out, and I was ready for this, you know, 8-hour, 9-hour documentary about the entire franchise. I actually didn't really contribute much. Just some photos towards the end, like archival footage. Like, there was some pictures of me and Kimberly Beck, and pictures of the final girls that I had taken that they had used. And I honestly wasn't even aware that they used this, but like they
Right.
had to. I mean, they had to, I guess, thank me anyway. I have no idea. To this day, I still have no idea how they got the photos, who gave them
Right.
to them, or
How
if they just
strange.
stole them off of my Facebook page. Or
Maybe.
I also
Yeah.
run the Kimberly Beck fan page that's been around for like 12 years.
Awesome.
So I don't know. So they kind of thanked me for archival footage, and I'm just, you know, the day that it came out, somebody had called me, one of my friends, and said, "Hey, you're in the credits, and there's a picture of me that's at the end of the documentary." I'm like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay,
oh,
nice of
that's
them
nice.
to email me and tell me. I guess so."
How strange. How strange being
Yeah, so
immortalized
I didn't
without being
really
known
like.
about it.
If it
Yeah.
was a thing of like funding, and if there was a campaign, I would have certainly donated
Yeah.
or contributed
It,
towards that project.
it was just on the balance, I guess, of or just on the sort of cusp of that becoming a big thing for other similar projects. I guess people saw that there's a market for people sitting, like you say, watching 8 hours of thing,
Yeah,
and like you say, the nostalgia of it. And I mean, Kimberly Beck was a crush of mine from Massacre at Central High.
yeah,
Uh, what a film!
it's a
Um,
doozy. It's quite a doozy.
yeah.
She still
Oh,
has not seen it to this day.
really? Oh,
No, she hasn't
wow.
seen it. There's a story behind that.
Yeah,
Uh, you,
I did a podcast on it recently, and the two guys who invited me on, I had to choose a movie, and I chose that one.
it's a great
Um,
movie. It's so great.
yeah.
It's the
Oh,
Heather's ripped it off. You know,
yeah,
this
yeah.
movie
There's a
Heather.
lot of that. That's a really good point. Yeah, Daniel Waters. Yeah, he's obviously made a note somewhere. And like a lot of people, like Mayan said here, Friday the 13th, her favorite franchise, and I think for me too, actually, it's probably my favorite one. That certainly the one I revisit the most. So in terms of your, obviously you kind of a fan and really into the sort of the history of it and building friendships through it.
Mhm.
Did you in your did that inspire you with your work? So your sort of your company where you were distributing film and doing things like that. How does that kind of tie in? Was it because you're a big horror fan or just a movie fan in general?
I really, I mean, yeah, people, I am a horror nut, but like, I do love all movies. Probably my least favorite is musicals, but like, depends on the musical. You know, I
Yeah,
might
sure.
really like many aspects of it, and I might like some of the songs. But
Yeah.
growing up, I was a fan of all movies. You know, sci-fi, fantasy, the genre stuff, of course, but drama, comedy, action. I loved it all. Ate it all up as I just became a huge movie fan. So eventually I figured, I'm like, well, eventually I'm going to wind up like doing this. And I had gotten a video camera as a teenager, as a lot of us, film lovers did, and started making movies in the backyards with our buddies. And eventually that led, and of course they were like Jason movies and stuff like that. Fan films before they were called fan films.
Yeah.
Um, but I started writing a lot. I loved writing, especially in my college years. My late teens to early 20s, I was writing a lot. And then I started a company with my friend Rob Harrison, my partner at the time. And because we both shared, we were like very on par of like what we wanted to do. And our love for movies and like the same ones was just pretty equal. He's still a great friend to this day. So what we did is that we started this company, Ramsteer Films, and we wrote and directed, produced a bunch of short films to sell at conventions, and kind
Right.
of see where it goes from there. So we did that for 4 or 5 years, maybe 5 or 6 years. And we were starting to get ready to make our first feature length movie to distribute and see where that goes, and entered into film festivals and stuff like that. Some of our shorts were in film festivals.
Right. Oh wow.
So and for the most part, we were doing horror, but some of them were like horror comedy. We had a sci-fi movie. And then by the time we were doing the feature length movie, things kind of fell apart between me and Rob, and the company kind of like folded, and we just kind of like, he got married and had a kid, and I was busy doing other things, and life just got in the way, and just had to focus on job and your life.
Well, obviously, you've got that massive. You seem like somebody who needs to have that creative outlet. So, like in terms of the short films and creating those, may I mention a comment here? So I remember having lots of dreams and waking up thinking they could be a plot in a movie. Were you the guy? Were you the guy kind of coming up with the ideas? Were you the person that sort of, or was it very collaborative between the two of you when you?
It was very collaborative. Yeah. We both had great ideas. Sometimes he would disagree with my ideas, and I would disagree with his way. But that's going to happen. But we would try to find like a middle ground and push through, and. And we still enjoy those short films to this day. Eventually, I want to put them all together in like a Blu-ray collection and sell them.
Anthologies are getting really hot now. Again, I think they're having a bit of a resurgence. People are really into their anthologies. I know Amicus are making a comeback, and obviously over in America, there's the VHS and the cursed movies and all those kind of ones. So. Yeah,
the Mortuary collection was a really good one.
Yeah,
Did you see the Mortuary colletion? Yeah, that was
I've seen some of that. Yeah. So that sounds like it'd be quite a nice idea. Put them all together on a Blu-ray. Those short films.
Yeah. Well, the idea that I have is that I would put our films, but along with other friends' films that they made in the early 2000s. In the early 2000s, like 2000 to 2010, I mean, there were just like thousands of like horror fans selling at conventions, selling their like micro budget movies, and just trying to like build up their companies. And it was great. So I have this idea that I want to start this thing called the Naughty Oddies collection.
Oh, nice.
You're from England, right? So you know about the video nasties.
Yes.
The band Video Nasties and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
give people a list and they'll go and watch them.
Yes, exactly. So I want to do something called the Naughty Oddies. Oddies is the 2000s,
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That sounds cool.
Yeah, and it just put a collection together of all these like independent filmmakers' work that a lot of people haven't seen unless they were like kind of local to the area, or maybe they've seen them on YouTube or Tubi, some of these other streaming things that just will stream anything. Yeah. But it'd be cool to have them in a collection, and most horror fans are still like physical media collectors.
Oh yeah, so, I think more so than possibly any other genre. A nice boutique DVD case.
As you can see.
Yes, yeah, that's it. I think that's reflected in a lot of people who watch your movies. Who certainly ones who were watching Victor No More. They big collectors. Conventions kind of breed that as well. You go and you pick up new things. It's great, isn't it?
But really I also want to say, I did. And to answer that person's question, I would like have dreams sometimes, or like great ideas that just come in, and I'm just like, oh my God, I need to write this down. And some of the ideas that I had in Victim No More, I had for like 20 years.
Right.
and it was just great to like finally do what I had the idea about. It was just like, all right, finally I could put this thing in a movie. So this idea.
Well, people have obviously responded really well to it because they see the same love and respect for the franchise and for the genre that you have. They have that same feeling. So yeah, got a nice message here already. So, Horror Maniacs from Germany, that you're on the channel, wanted to show support to this great filmmaker. Oh wow!
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Comment. That's really nice. Thank
Yeah,
you
I've had a lot of German fans like reach out to me, and they contributed towards the project when the campaign was going in 2020.
Well, who knows horror better than the German fans? You know, I mean, look at Nosferatu. You know, look at the.
Yeah, I mean, German horror fans are some of the most hardcore horror fans there are.
Yeah. So in fact, I was going to look at just pick a few other things that you've been involved in that I thought were really noteworthy and interesting. I might just show the trailer because I just think it's such a trip. It's so fun. The trailer for Ski Wolf, because I'm really interested in your bicycle. So I'm just going to share that one because I think people will find that if they haven't seen it. I watched it last night. I really enjoyed it.
Oh my God, Ski Wolf was great.
Yeah. So
Chris Seaver's Ski Wolf, classic.
I'll put it on now. Right, if I can.
I showed a motor on a bitch and released the flapjacks.
Wow.
Oh man, that was one of my best friends, Chris Seaver. He's been making movies for over 30 plus years. He's got over 60 plus movies with his company, Low Budget Pictures, which became Warlock Home Video. He did this movie in, I think, 2008, Ski Wolf, and I came out and helped out and acted in it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like when he told me the idea, I was like, well, I need to be in this because I'm a huge Teen Wolf. It's a mix between Teen Wolf and like Ski School and like those 80s like sex comedies.
I love those ski movies. I love anything with snow in it. Avalanche movies,
yes,
big sort of Yeti movies, and also ones where it's like, you know, the ski punks, essentially Police Academy, but in the mountains.
Yeah, the ski patrols and the like there's always Snowboard Academy.
How much fun was that?
It was a blast. I gotta say, it was one of my favorite movies that I was in of his. I'm in a bunch of his movies, like I think like 10 of his movies, and we just shot one this past summer, and he hasn't done a movie in, I think, 6 years.
Right.
But it's going to be great, and I'm in it, of course. And you know, it's a horror comedy, and actually the main girl from my film, Victim No More, Deanna Naja, she's the star of the movie.
Right.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I anything she does is gold as far as I'm concerned. She's fantastic.
Well, before we go,
she could do anything. No, I was going to say she could do anything, like deep drama or wacky comedy or be in horror films, and she can do it all. So she's somebody that we're going to hold on for a while and she's going to be involved in everything I do. So,
well, the acting side of things in Victim No More, you know, the acting was excellent across the board. You know, I
thank
really,
you.
I thought I thought every character, and I'll talk a little bit about, because I've been watching some of the behind the scenes videos, and I'll chat to you a bit about that later, because it's such an assured film, and I really do appreciate how good it is.
Thank you.
But before we do that, I can't move on to Victim No More, which I really want to, until I discuss Blitzkrieg, Escape from Stalag 69, only because you have 3 roles in this film. You are 3 different characters.
Yes.
3 different
I do.
soldiers, if I'm not correct. If I may be wrong, but 3 different soldiers, is that right?
Yeah, I think I'm two Nazis. I think I'm 2 Nazis. I'm an American soldier who gets hung. That one might not be listed, but I'm also like an Israeli agent or something like that who gets killed also. Again, that was somebody I knew reached out to me and a couple of my friends and wanted to know if we were gonna. Plus, I had this great location to shoot at. I was security for a college campus on Long Island, New York, where I'm from, and it was great because there were a lot of like busted up old buildings that seemed to have been there for decades, like almost untouched. So they were kind of good for like a setting for like a Nazi camp area. So that was used in a lot of it.
Well, the people in the chat are very impressed with your 3 characters. I haven't seen. This is one I haven't seen, but I need to see it now.
I haven't seen it in a really long time. I have the DVD somewhere. It's one of those like Nazi exploitation, like 70s feel. You know, there's like naked
She-Wolf of the SS kind of thing.
Yeah, it's exactly kind of like that. It's yeah. I'm trying to remember Keith. I'm trying to remember the director's name. I can't.
Well, I've got the trailer here. So.
Oh my god! Okay. You're gonna play this one?
I was hoping you'd pop.
Is there nudity?
No.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'd be kicked off YouTube and sent to the naughty step.
Because there was a lot of nudity in the movie. I know that.
Well, I hope I didn't see any when I looked at it, but you know, it was on the IMDb. I'm sharing it off the IMDb just to be certain, because I know that they're good boys and girls over.
Oh my god, okay. Blitzkrieg.
Stalag 69, where torture is just the beginning. Stalag 69, where butchery is the only way.
Chief Crocker, that's his name, the director.
69, where death is the only thing worth hoping for. Enter Stalag 69, where Nazis rule with perversion and pain.
Remove their tongue.
Where the lust for blood is never satisfied. Where sexual deviance is second only to cruelty.
Oh, wow.
The guys have some, I guess, makeshift knives.
But for this ragtag band of POWs, the only way to escape this house of hate and horror was to become even more disgusting, more perverted, and more bloodthirsty than their captors. Blitzkrieg, Escape from Stalag 69.
Wow. I mean, they censored it.
Yeah, they saw the little stars all over the body parts.
They definitely censored it. That's definitely a different trailer than what I saw.
Yeah, okay. That was real hardcore exploitations. I'm sure the Germans will love it. The German fans.
Yeah. Wow. So that's thrown me for a loop there. So it kind of shows the breadth as well of the different things that you've kind of done and been involved in. And a lot of that is, I guess, meeting people, making friends, and getting involved.
Oh yeah,
and helping out. Yeah. So let's move on to Victim No More. Let's hit Victim No More. So we talk about that reveal of New York at the beginning. A real mixture of music. We've got the 80s pop, the classic Henry Manfredini, the homage. Tell me a little bit about the music design at the beginning of that.
Well, I was friends with this guy, Mike McGrainer, for many years now, and he was putting out an album, and he had sent me a copy of the album, and I absolutely loved it. Every track was so good. He's going to release a second album soon. I think you can go to MikeMcGrainermusic.com or .net. You can find him on YouTube. You can find all his music on YouTube and his website. Really but cool. he had like a very like 80s kind of influence in his music. And I as soon as I heard that track, it's called City Lights, I was like, I have to use this for the beginning of my movie, just to put like everybody in like a certain mode to like let people know like, hey, we're, let's have fun in this movie. Let's enjoy this. Not start off like a creepy horror movie using creepy music, but just like, it's kind of like how Jason Takes Manhattan starts. You're kind of like thrown off a bit by the beginning of that movie because of those opening credits. And I kind of like that idea, kind of like, it's not really tricking the audience, but like just letting them know that like, hey, I'm an 80s fan too. Let me put you in that mode and hopefully this will kind of flow like an 80s style horror film, where like we're dealing with young characters going out and discovering what they shouldn't be discovering, and
well, that's it. And Robbie
and bad things will happen. Yeah,
with Robbie almost in the very early in the first act, he's wanting to get back to Crystal Lake. He's wanting to go. Tell me a little bit about Robbie as a character.
He's a very complicated character, and probably, it was a very complicated character to write for because he's so naive and innocent, and he's kind of like stuck in his own way, and his like it's a very hard character to write because a lot of people are going to say, oh my god, this kid is annoying because he's doing something that he shouldn't be doing, and he's very confused, he's conflicted. I mean, right away it starts off in a therapy session, and he has an overbearing mother who just wants to keep him safe and from the horrors of the world, and you just can't do that when your kid becomes in his 20s. It's like he has to be like free to be his own man, and he just feels very trapped and insecure, and he suffers from anxiety and depression because of these things. He can't break free of his smothering mother.
Well, yeah, and at least him, isn't there?
Yeah, at least that's the way he perceives it. We all perceive things differently, but he's set in his ways, and he's thinking. He's not thinking. He's kind of thinking selfishly. So again, that's another hard thing to write as a character to like, because he's coming off selfish because he's not truly thinking of how his mom feels because of everything that she went through. She was a survivor of Jason. And unless you're there, unless you went through that, you're not going to truly understand what that kind of trauma is like. Yeah, so, the children of survivors, like, they should be a little bit more understanding and that. So he thinks like the way to help his mom, is to go to the place where she had this trauma and show her that Jason is not around anymore and that everything is safe, and can we please move on with our lives? And everything is okay. So having him kind of in this therapy session do that, and the therapist not so much agreeing with this idea, because I mean, therapists really aren't supposed to tell you exactly what to do. You're supposed to decide for yourself on what the best choices are. But they can kind of guide you, I guess. But
it's a
so
real
yeah, so he's a very
layer
complicated
of depth
character
to
to
them.
write, because he's so naive. He kind of, it's just, it was a difficult character for me to write. But I said, you know what, I want to do this. I want it to be a child of a survivor. I want it to be real in the sense of, this could happen to, somebody like this. And let's see what happens. And obviously, if he went to Camp Crystal Lake and nothing happened, and then he just went home, it would just be a drama about a kid finding himself or something.
Yeah,
so.
just like kind of proving himself right, and kind of dealing with because I mean, I think the level of kind of subtext and thought that's gone into the characters. There's often in fan films, there's lots and lots of characters, and it's very hard to kind of identify, especially in a short film, attach yourself. Whereas in this film, I think that you can see the love from the page on the screen, the sort of the thought that's gone into those characters and how they their history. And that only comes from you understanding the history of all of the films and kind of piecing that together. Because obviously, when they're making those films, one film after the other, they're not always the same director, not always the same production companies. You've got to try to find this narrative. And I think you find that in such a clever and interesting way while still making something new. And for me, it's a real high production value for a fan film. Tell me a little bit about that. Because it looks really striking. It looks very clear, and the mise en scene is excellent. So, what kind of thing? What thinking was going into that? Were you just trying to pay homage and really do the best job you could do with something you love so much?
Well, I mean, you always try to do the best job you can do with anything that you're passionate about. But film or otherwise. But that has to do with just one of my best friends, one of my closest friends, being a great cinematographer. He's the one responsible for making it look as good as it does. He's a professional freelance cinematographer that lives 15 minutes from me. And it's kind of a thing where and he's the one that really cared about each and every shot, and make sure that we're thinking on the same page as things. And, he would kind of bring me down to reality if certain shots weren't going to be able to be pulled off. He was excited to find out that, this is going to be all daytime, which is very different than a Friday 13th film. Really, my idea was this one would be all daytime, and if I do a sequel, it would be all night, just kind of flip it like that. But he was just excited about that, because then we didn't have to deal with generators and lighting at night and mist and those kinds of things. But I storyboarded a lot of the big shots that I wanted to do. Of course, the death scenes I had to storyboard out, and we were just on the same page when we were filming, and it was great. It was just a great experience, and it's great to have friends that are professional in that sense of putting a low budget movie together. And
it doesn't feel low budget at all. In fact,
that's kind of why I wanted to start the movie off in the city too, to give it kind of a big scope feel that'll be different than other Friday 13th fan films that you see. I mean, the big thing with the fan films now that you see a lot of the the ones that make like that have like 1 million views or more, is that to make it feel like it's big in scope on a lower budget is that they use a lot of uh, drone shots. Drone shots going over the woods and everything, and that that makes it seem like a bigger movie than it is. And I too was going to use an opening drone shot, not for the opening city stuff, but when we come to the Crystal Lake area, I was going to use a drone shot, and the ending shot I was going to be a drone shot. But then I said, you know what? The more I thought about it, I'm like, how many Friday the 13th movies have you seen that used helicopter or drone shots?
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
None of them.
Yeah. Yeah,
None of them have like helicopter shots. They have a shot shooting up at a helicopter in the beginning of part 4,
that's
like
true, yeah.
but that's just like up on a crane shooting down. And
these were things that weren't really
no, they didn't happen. And if I wanted to do a Friday 13th film to feel like a Friday 13th film, well, as close as I could with my resources, then I'm not gonna do drone shots. I'm gonna do the things that I enjoy from watching a Friday 13th film, like the white fade outs and things like that. Like it gives me that little nostalgic feel. The music was important to have in a lot of the scenes. The point of view shots of like somebody watching the people walk around from behind trees and stuff. Like this is all
very
stuff
practical, hands-on things, aren't there? That you can, if you know them, if you've seen them, you hopefully can kind of recreate, and the fans will pop for that too.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to do the things that remind me of what I love about Friday 13th.
The costumes are one of the things where I just think that they're so detailed. The masks, I don't want to give too much away, but the masks and the different masks involved, and they look so good. Like,
thank you.
Almost better than in some of the films, to be honest. In some of the Friday, I absolutely love them. I love the way Jason looks in all his different incarnations. I'm trying to tread carefully because I want people to go and watch the film.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, it really elevates it. I'm like, wow, that looks so cool.
Yeah, that again, that's another friend that I know that's into special effects, makeup, named Ricky Vitus. He was actually a contestant on Face Off season 9, I think.
Okay.
On Sci-Fi Channel, and he lives right here on Long Island. And I asked him to do the Jason getup, and somebody else that he works with did the mask, named Pat Louie. And Vitus Effects. I mean, if you could hire Vitus Effects, go for it. He does amazing work. He just recently, I don't even know if I could use him for a sequel anymore because he seems to have blown up. Because
that's not surprising, really, because of, like I say, the quality really jumps off the screen.
Yeah, he was again a constant professional. He was amazing at. He gave me I described what I wanted. He gave me exactly what I wanted, and had a lot of fun doing it. He had just recently worked last year with Jason Momoa in something. I don't even know what it is. Wow. Like he was like in Hawaii. I'm like, well, I guess that's the end of Ricky. I can't use him for the sequel. He's working with he's working with Jason Momoa and stuff. But
wow, that's not surprising, like I say, because I think for those who haven't seen Victim No More, really have a good close look. We don't need to, because it really is right there in front of you. You don't need to search out and look closely. You can see that these things are so well made, and for me, it's like when you look at the best sort of NECA figures, and you go, oh, that one's really, really good because it has that little tiny detail in it that only a real fan who loves it would have noticed. And that's what I got from the sort of the costume and the makeup, and actually, if I move on to the direction, the kills and the planning that went into the kills because it's not easy directing action. And I watched some of your behind the scenes videos, and I think people will get a kick out of those because it was so self-assured in terms of, when to drop something, when to walk, when to, because obviously if you're wearing a big costume, I imagine it's quite difficult sometimes to know where to go and what to do. Tell me a little bit about your kind of thoughts going into directing all the action, particularly the kills, because they're really cool and really well done.
I have a very laid back way of directing, and also a very clear idea of what I want. I over prepare sometimes, which would drive some people crazy. I'm like, I keep going back to places that we're going to shoot multiple times just so I can figure out how I want each and every shot. And even though things could change in editing, I kind of have the idea already in my head. But I just kind of I just have it all pre-planned, a lot of it. There's things that come up on set, or things might have to change because of whatever conditions, weather conditions. What's up?
Do you think visually in terms of sketching things down, or do you just have each step in your head? How do you kind of?
I just have everything kind of in my head, and then sometimes it's hard to explain exactly what I want. Like the first kill, we had issues with the goofy brother character by the lakeside. That's going to the bathroom.
Really clever. Yeah.
Yeah, that scene. First off, that was the worst day of shooting.
Right.
It was the second day of shooting, and we had to change locations. So that wasn't even the location that I originally planned for a year before that, where we were going to shoot. So everything had to be kind of flipped around and changed on that day. But I'm satisfied by the way it came out.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good. There's some good, satisfying fake outs in that early section, which I think as a fan, it makes you want to continue watching in a really clever way that proves that people can make really inventive horror without, like you say, kind of getting tons and tons of technology involved. It's more about the kind of just thinking out the process and kind of trying to do something that you've not seen before. And I really like that with the brother. I thought that was a really good scene.
Yeah, that was fun because I love the idea that, when the brother first appears, I like the idea of kind of faking out the audience into thinking where the audience might be disappointed at first because of what they're seeing and go, oh no, is this how it's going to be? But then we flip it around and you find out that's not what's going to be, I don't want. It's weird talking in ways of not spoiling, but
it's hard, isn't it? Because obviously you've got these actors who I've not seen anything else before, and sometimes you can kind of just be on the hunt for the famous face in films. And I never felt that in this because they were really good. The characters of Katie and Dylan, they had a good banter between each other without it being kind of corny. It worked really well. They had a good little interchange, just enough for us to get on board and know who they are and know their background, and thinking of the time of the film, and it works really well. So to the point when it's not a spoiler to say Kimberly Beck's in this film, is it? Because that's not
no. Well, she does a voiceover. Yeah. You could say that. I mean, we could spoil some things if you want. It just
it's
been out for a year.
That's true. And when people turn up and you see them and you see the people from other iterations of the film, you don't just go, "Oh, okay, there's a famous person." You're still invested in those characters. But it must have been a thrill for you to kind of do that, to be able to put in those legacy characters. Let's put it that way. It must have been really cool to do that.
Yeah, and also, well, before that, I just want to say that the three other characters that aren't Robbie, the couple and the brother and everything, I just wanted to kind of make them likable characters, where like and relatable characters, something that because I know a lot of the Friday 13th movies, and there's definitely fans of the types of characters that are in Friday 13th movies where like, oh, they just want to like smoke weed and get laid and be obnoxious with each other and stuff like that. Like, but it's like, you know what? For something different, let me just make, a couple that's like talking about what they want to do with their lives and,
like
get a house together. It's like, make it kind of relatable and likable, just likable. So, I mean, hopefully that comes across. Hopefully they're likable to some people, but they're likable.
I thought it was a
me.
genuine relationship. I got a genuine relationship between them. I thought that they were, at first I was like, oh, it's going to be like kind of awkward banter between a guy who likes a girl and she doesn't like him. And then I was like, oh, no, that's not the case. They're a couple. And that makes perfect sense, the way that they were related to each other. So, that's for me, that's a much more inventive.
So when something happens to them, you're just kind of like, oh, no. And I've gotten that a lot from a lot of people that like they were kind of upset when things happen to them, and it's just like, oh my God. Or even the idiot brother who is only around for I mean, it's a 40-minute movie, so people if people are going to die, they're going to die pretty quickly.
Yeah, and people know what they're signing up for, I guess, as well, when they're watching a
but
slasher film.
But the idea too is that like, even though it's 40 minutes, it seems like a really short time, but I was hoping that the way it's shot in multiple locations makes it feel like you're watching a longer movie than it is, because it still has I mean, they're extremely condensed, but it still has like act 1, act 2, act 3, So
and people forget, I guess, that with some of the slasher films, the sort of lesser slasher films, or ones we're rediscovering, maybe people discover ironically, that often they've got about 30 minutes of a story, and they're padding that out to get over an hour, or as close to as much as they can.
There's no way I could have padded this more with just a few characters.
It's all action all the time, and I think but it's like you say, it's paced really well, that we do get to know those characters.
Thank you.
No, it's true. It's true. So I don't want us to finish before I ask you some big questions. So brace yourself. What's the
brace
future?
myself.
Brace yourself, because this could be okay. Hold on tight.
Okay.
So, what is the future for Victim No More?
Well, right now, I think we're pretty steady in views. I would like there to be a lot more views, but 200 to 240 a day of views is pretty good. I'm waiting to hit more of those algorithms to like jump it up more. I would love to get Never Hike Alone is a great fan film, if you've seen that.
I may have done. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Never Hike Alone is like the biggest one, I think. It's got the most views. It's really done well. The director did a great job, Vin DeCenti. And if we could reach like 1 million views, like like that in the next couple of years, that would be amazing.
Deserves to. Do you have other things in the bank related to the next stage of Never Hike Alone?
You mean Victim No More?
Oh, sorry, Never Hike Alone. Sorry, I'm
not involved in Never Hike Alone.
No,
I mean, but if I may promote,
I'm reading a comment that said Never Hike Alone. As that's what happens when you do two things at once, and your brain's mush.
If you don't mind me, I'll promote Never Hike Alone 2 comes out October 13th on YouTube. But I'll promote other people's fan films. Also, Peter Anthony has a lot of fun fan films. The Vengeance movies 1 and 2, Roseblood. He's a great guy.
can I turn this around and say I've not seen any of his, and I've seen yours, and yours is much better. So,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
yeah.
No,
There
but
we
he's a
go.
great guy. I highly recommend checking his stuff out. And
That's
there's
cool.
other ones too that are really good.
So my question, I'll rephrase it. This is what happens when I read comments and look at the screen at the same time.
I want to know these comments. I want. Can you read some of the comments?
It was this one. This was the reason why I said Never Hike Alone instead of Victim No More.
Oh, it's a Never Hike Alone thing. Okay.
Yeah. So, Victim No More, where do you see that going next in terms of like if you to continue the story? Is there without obviously telling?
Well, right now we're just going to keep promoting. I'm going to keep doing podcast interviews like yours, and I'm just going to keep sharing. And if everybody could like share, like, subscribe to 3PD Films, where Victim No More is playing on YouTube for free to watch. We have a website, victimnomorefilm.com, where you can get merchandise. We have Blu-rays, which have reversible sleeves. So.
And it does look very cool. It does look very cool.
Thank you. They're kind of like designed off of like the box set of Friday 13th. To kind of match those a little bit. I think it works really well. It doesn't. Even like the titles, they very lovingly done. I think people, I'll just put my comment up. The link is in the description, as is your YouTube page as well for the production company, and people can get on and watch it. It really. And May says those look awesome, and they really do. Like I'm jealous of the poster as well. I think the poster looks really cool. T-shirts, beanies, and there's a lot of other merchandise and bundle packs and stuff like that we sell off the website. But we want to just keep promoting. We want to get to 100,000 views, and then I will start working on. I mean, I've already kind of started working on Victim No More Part 2.
Right.
Which is called Loose Ends. Loose Ends, Victim No More Part 2. And what I want to do is a trilogy of these movies. That will be everything I have to say about Friday the 13th and my love for it. I want all three films to be kind of different from each other. But also keeping the feel and love alive for the Friday 13th franchise. The second movie I could tell you, well, if we do a campaign, it's going to be next year. We plan on shooting a teaser trailer in the springtime to help promote the campaign to raise money to make the movie. It will be an even bigger budget because it'll be a feature-length movie. The second one.
Have you back on to discuss that when you're launching that, if you're willing to, that'd be lovely. And we'll make sure everybody gets on board and right from day one.
Well, I want to say this goes back to something we talked about earlier about anthology movies being a thing. That I want the second movie to be an anthology movie, so it'll be kind of four tales that are kind of spun out of the Friday the 13th franchise. So, and there'll be twists and turns in each of those four stories to like reveal something, and you'll find out how they're connected to Friday the 13th.
Well, I've not seen
its characters.
And that's something that's not been done within any of the Friday movies. If
I don't think so.
Whether they try to do go in a different direction with Halloween 3, which is my favorite one of the whole thing, actually. But and go in a different direction. That sounds really cool, and unlike any of the other fan made ones. And to be honest, there's a sort of a tier ranking there, I think, of people making fan movies. For example, I could go out and make a movie on my phone right now,
of course,
and it would be appalling.
That's not true. You've watched a lot of movies. Maybe you might be pretty good. So you don't know.
I find it hard enough recording a 2 or 3 minute review without cutting my head off the thing, and not in a violent, not in a violent, interesting way. So is that an exclusive then? About that? Have you shared this information with it on any
I think I shared it on one other podcast about my sequel anthology Victim No More movie. So
Oh,
it's
that's cool,
kind
though.
of brand new news. I've kind
Yeah.
of on my YouTube channel, I kind of mentioned that I'm working on Victim No More Part 2. I was in LA recently, and I was in one of my favorite places to go to kind of like be inspired by, to like sit down and just start, an outline. And I wrote out the entire outline. And for those that've seen Victim No More, the first one, there will be an answer to how the first one ends. This one will kind of like show you the aftermath of what happened.
Right. Oh, I'll be the first one to watch those, and I'll say to be honest, I've not seen a lot of fan films. I did see Dylan's Dream recently.
Yeah, Dylan's New Nightmare.
Dylan's New Nightmare. Yeah, Dylan's Dream. I was thinking of
Dylan's Dream.
Yeah, that sounds
It was
like
I thought it was pretty good.
a romantic comedy.
Did you
Yeah,
did you like it?
excellent. Yeah, I loved
really,
it.
really
Yeah.
well done.
I thought the lead was great, and I thought the guy that played Freddy was so good that I didn't even click that he could have done it terribly, if that makes sense. I just kind of went with him as Freddy straight away.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I know May's just put on here she'll be checking out Victim No More, watching it perfect for October. So yeah, hopefully we're in scary season.
Thank you
now.
so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
It's the 1st of October, so
another view.
Season.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, trust me, they all count.
I just want to also say that our Blu-rays that we sell, we have more features on there than like some, big time releases that are put out now. We have like a 90-minute making of documentary kind of thing. Of course we got bloopers because what's a Blu-ray or a DVD without bloopers?
No, well that's it. Yeah, these days we gotta have.
And we even have like Easter eggs where you like kind of play around on the menus and try to look for secret things. Like how DVDs were like 20 years ago.
Nice. Well, I'm going to be. I'll be honest. What I tend to do is whoever I interview, and obviously I do a real deep dive into their careers. I find that kind of build that connection with them, and then I want to remember the moment. So I'll be buying a Blu-ray.
Thank you so much.
And putting it in my collection. I've got like a shelf just for people I've interviewed, and
that's unnecessary. You're interviewing me, so I'm gonna send you a free copy, and I'll sign it, I guess, if you want.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
No, but I will.
You're helping the promotion of it, so it's like I gotta just send you a copy, and
so I don't feel bad. What I'll do is when if you're doing crowdfunding for your next project, I'll be doing that then, because
excellent.
One way or another, I'm going to give you my money.
Be an associate producer, yes, or something, whatever you can afford. If it's I tell people all the time, if it's $10 or $1,000, it doesn't matter. Like you're helping contribute to making this project real. I mean, $10 may not sound like a lot of money, or how many pounds is that?
About £8.50.
8 pounds. Like okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like it could be buying somebody lunch on the set that day. That helps.
Oh, yeah.
That means everything. So
well, for sure, to kind of encourage people to do that and to buy these things and get involved. I played a newsman, a news reporter in a film recently.
Oh my God.
For a friend of mine, and I sent it to him, and he edited it together to make me look like an actor, because I'm not. I was just playing me. And the buzz of seeing myself on the DVD when he sent it to me was so cool. Just not because I saw myself, because that's the worst bit, but because I'd helped my friend. So,
and that movie is called Ski Wolf 2.
It's called Lights Over Montgomery County. It's a brilliant film that's come out on Scareplex now.
It's a drama. It sounds it's a found
footage horror film.
Oh, okay.
And it's so good. I'll be interviewing Dustin about it soon. We literally just made friends through doing the channel.
Oh,
And
Mayanne is born on Friday the 13th. That's awesome.
wow, she had
I'm
to be a
so
horror
jealous. I'm so jealous.
Yeah,
I always wish I was born on a Friday 13th or on Halloween day. And I'm like,
yeah.
my parents messed up. What can I say? They
She's going to be adding some of your stuff to her collection, so that's fantastic. Oh, what a great place to leave it. Oh, Bob, do you know? I can't wait to have you back on again. Crowdfunding the next one.
Anytime.
Let's get those views up, guys. Anyone who's watching this, let's get those views up for Bob's films, for all of them, and everything that he's kind of involved in. Buy a beanie if you're cold. Buy a beanie.
Buy a beanie. I'll show you what it looks like.
Oh man,
there you go. Whoop.
Yeah.
There you go.
Certainly, if you live in Britain or you live in Canada or cold parts of the US, you've got to get yourself a beanie. All right. So, Bob, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. I've had a great time. Hopefully, it was relatively painless.
No, it was fantastic. I love doing this stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody that watched. Thank you for having me on. And like I said, just keep and not only just help share, promote, whatever for my film if you want to, but like any of your friends that are, starving filmmakers or, starving artists, just support the creative life like that, your friends are passionate. I still have friends that have no clue what I do because they're either just not interested or whatever. But then there's the friends that really appreciate and love and want to be involved, no matter what I do. And I love everybody equally, but I love them even more for helping us out.
Sure. I mean, there's a really lovely little corner of the of YouTube that I've stumbled into with horror fans and creators, and they are just the most lovely, supportive people who come in like Mayanne and Al and so many people, Kerry and Mikey and all these people, to Betty, Funko, Freddy, all these people who pop in to help each other out and support each other and just chat about things that they love. So
you should all create a company together and make Pugwall Productions. Come on, just
I would not be a good figurehead for that. I think we need somebody with a better name and a better logo. Al would be the guy for that. Or to be honest, there's a channel, Video Tasties, Gareth, and he's great with his branding and all that kind of stuff. He's really cool.
That's awesome.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, but to be honest,
I also sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I just love it. I've loved having everybody pop up with their questions and comments. And Mayanne has got a quick question for you about PayPal and Venmo. Is that correct?
Yep. PayPal and Venmo is we had a professional store that we were creating on the website, and for some reason it was glitches. Again, my mutant power around technology just wasn't working, or was working and was glitching the hell out of everything. We had the store where you could, put in credit card information and all that stuff, and it just would not work for us. So I said, you know what? In the meantime, let's just throw up. Here's the PayPal. Here's the Venmo. If you want to just do that, that's fine. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Will I be able to see all these comments on the page?
Yeah, when you watch it back, everything will be there.
Okay, because I like to see everybody's comments and maybe reply or whatever.
We've had the US, Germany, the UK. We've had everybody join us at some point. So
awesome,
really cool.
Worldwide, baby.
Yeah.
I just want to say I just want to say real quick too. In the sequels that I'm preparing, yes, there'll be the twists and turns and weird surprises too. But just like Victim No More, I will have a couple more 80s type cameos. Amy's celebrity cameos make some appearances, and one will be a Friday 13th alumni. So
now I am excited.
They said that they're on board, so I'm like, all right, well, let's raise the money first and then see what we could do. So,
I mean, you had me with Kimberly Beck's voice. That's enough for me. Just because I imagine she probably wouldn't want to sit down and talk with me too much about Massacre at Central High, but
No, she'll definitely not want to talk about that movie.
but
I mean, she does truly love her fans. Yeah, she loves her fans, and she thinks the world of them. And right now, she's at a convention in Texas.
Yeah, I saw
signing
actually
autographs.
there was somebody had posted a picture of himself with it just before we came on, and I was like, "Oh, how strange!" We're just about to talk about her on the
She's an incredible friend, and every time I'm in LA and anytime we can, if me or her is in the area of each other, we hang out and have dinner and catch up and goof around in stores and stuff. So, she's honestly one of my dearest friends. I truly love her. She's
that's
great.
Lovely. That's really nice that you built those connections. Well, I think that's a perfect place to leave it. Thank you so much. And to Betty, you said great interview, and Mayan has
thank
agreed.
you.
And that's all I need. I'm happy with that, because if two people agree on it, I think that's we'll take that to the bank. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Bob, again. You've been an
thank you everyone,
and best of luck, and we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Signing off. Bye, guys. Bye. Okay, guys. I'll see you very shortly. Got some really big interviews coming up. And thank you so much for joining in and asking questions. It really does mean the world to me and to all the other people who are making these films and writing stories and writing books and all the things they're doing. Let's get behind them and really support them, because the things are awesome. They're really cool to watch. I literally sat down and watched this movie this week, and I was just like, this is 100% better than some of those some films that people are getting paid billions for. So yeah, let's get on board. All right. Bye, guys. Take care.